Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going back into the Brawl event, because it's Wednesday, so we're going to be playing some Chulane. Yeah, I'm never touching that Brawler Days event, guys. I'll joke all I want, but I'll never play that in a million years. You would have to waterboard me, and even then, I would probably resist. Anyway, we're going to play Chulane, Teller of Tales, Bant Colours and 2 for a 2-4 with Vigilance. This is one of the Brawl pre-cons. I haven't quite worked my way through all of the Brawl pre-con cards, except for with the starter decks when the first event came out, which was pretty cool. So Chulane is one of the more interesting ones, for sure. Excuse me. 2-4 with Vigilance. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card, and then you may put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. You can also pay 3 and tap it to return target creature you control to its owner's hand. I remember when this was first revealed, people thought that it would be amazingly broken, and it's actually not really seen all that much play, in fairness. It does see a legitimate amount of play for sure, but it's not as broken as everyone made it out to be. So, how do we build this deck? The idea is that we want to ramp into Chulane, so we've got lots of mana dorks, which also actually work with his activated effect there, or his triggered effect. When you cast creature spells, draw a card and put a land into play. So we've got our mana dogs. We've got Gilded Goose, Leafkin Druid, Paradise Druid, Maraleaf Pixie, and things like Feyburrah Elder, and I think there's one more. I can't quite remember. But we want to ramp into Chulane so that we can start casting lots and lots of spells. And the deck basically is revolving around cast triggers and enter the battlefield abilities. So we've got lots and lots and lots of creatures here to really make use of Chulane. He is definitely a build around, but he's not a requirement. I tried to build the deck in such a way where Chulane is not a requirement for us to win. So we have kind of alternative Chulane value engines, if you will. Things like Portal of Sanctuary is a 3-mana artifact. You can pay 1 and tap it to return a creature you control and each aura, irrelevant, attached to it to their owner's hands. Activate this only during your turn. So what this allows us to do is essentially use Chulane's bounce ability there to replay our cards. So we've got lots of things that we could be replaying. We'll get to the big stuff in a minute. We also have the ability to change up the draw a card effect as well. We got things like Beast Whisperer, which says whenever you cast a creature spell, you get to draw a card. There's a few cards in here as well, like Cloudkin Seer and Elite Guard Mage, that on their own actually do draw you a card as well, so it's pretty nice there. And then we also have God Eternal Ketra, which looks like a ton of fun with Chulane. 5 mana for a 3/6 double strike. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 4/4 black zombie creature warrior token with Vigilance, and when it dies, it goes third from the top into your deck. So this thing's never going away, which means, you know, Chulane always has something to make him draw every 2 or 3 turns, which is pretty cool. But we have ways of gaining value off of cast triggers. We have ways of drawing cards, and to a certain extent, I guess we have ways of ramping as well with the Chulane. So pretty good. So we're not reliant on Chulane, but we do very much enjoy having him around. We've got a few pieces in the deck as well that really are the auto-includes with Chulane. One of them being Biomancer's Familiar, which is Simic Colors for a 2/2. It says activated abilities of creatures you control cost 2 less to activate. And that's basically all you want this around for, because that actually means you can pay 1 on Chulane to return a creature you control to its owner's hand. Should be noted as well that it can target itself, so Chulane can bounce himself to protect from certain removal spells. We have a little bit of protection from Chulane in another auto-include card, which is Frilled Mystic, which, when it enters the battlefield, counters a target spell. So we can flash this in, counter opponent's spell, and then pay 1 or 3 mana to bounce it right on back, which means we are repeatedly not only drawing a card from Frilled Mystic and potentially putting a land into play with Chulane, but we're also setting up a situation where we can counter 1 spell a turn, or even up to 2 spells a turn, depending on the scenario, really, how well our board is set up. So yeah, Frilled Mystic is another one of those auto-include Chulane targets. We've got God's Willing to Protect. We've even got Charming Prince to make use of those ETBs. There's not a great deal of those ETBs that are going to do a big amount of things, but, you know, even bouncing something like Charming Prince to do the Scry 2 in the early game, gaining 3 life can be relevant, and flickering spells with the third ability to make some of our ETBs matter, like Risen Reef, for example, which triggers off of elementals, including itself, to potentially put lands into play. Again, it's kind of like that Chulane effect. It draws a card and puts a land into play. This kind of, Risen Reef kind of does the same sort of thing, so we've kind of got that. As far as the big boys are concerned, the payoffs for the deck, we're going to be ramping up using that cast trigger and getting some big mana plays. The big ones are going to be things like Agent of Treachery, which is the most irritating card to ever be printed in M20. 7 mana for a 2/3. When it enters the battlefield, you gain control of target permanent. So it really doesn't matter that we don't have anything truly epic in the deck to just win the game on the spot, because Agent of Treachery is going to cover that for us, and our opponent's going to help us with that. Whatever our opponent plays is going to be our big threat, and we draw enough cards in this deck to pretty consistently find Agent of Treachery at some point throughout the game. So being able to replay this card over and over again is definitely disgusting. Also allows us to draw 3 cards at the end step, which honestly probably does us more harm than good, since we're already consistently drawing enough cards. We also have Thorn Mammoth as well, which when it enters or another creature enters, it fights up to 1 target creature we don't control, so we can use this actually to control our opponent's board state and really keep it in line. 6 damage is quite a lot, so anything 5 or lower in the toughness and power department means that Thorn Mammoth can repeatedly do its job. We also have Meteor Golem, which destroys non-land permanents, kind of the same thing as Agent of Treachery. It's another one of those replay big threats, control the board, make sure nothing really bad happens. Tulsamir, another fight effect, but on a smaller scale. Does have a little bit of life gain, which definitely is relevant. Tristani makes 2 1/1s and pumps the rest of our team. Also allows us to gain control of all creatures they own. So we've got to be careful with this Tristani, because it doesn't really synergize with Agent of Treachery too well. If we have some creatures in play that our opponents own and we play Tristani, this is actually not going to help us all that much, because it does actually have a synchronous effect. So we've got to be very careful on that. I'm sure at some point I'm going to fall for that one. But if we're taking like Planeswalkers and lands, things like that with Agent of Treachery, then that Tristani ability at the bottom there is really not going to make too much of a difference. But yeah, that's effectively the deck. The rest of it's kind of just tech pieces, a few auto-includes like Tail's End to make sure we can counter commanders and things like that. The mana base is nothing particularly special. I did look into maybe getting Field of the Dead in here, but I think I've got too many basics, and I can't really justify putting all the colourless lands in here to make Field of the Dead work. It just didn't seem like a strategy I wanted to incorporate into my list. I was doing fine without it anyway, so yep, that's essentially the list. If you do enjoy the deck, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, all that jazz, and without further ado, let's get into some gameplay. Hope you enjoy the video. Alright, we're in, and we've got Risen Reef, and that's really about it for this hand, but honestly, that almost feels just fine. The mana base is very good, and we got a lot of mana docks in our deck as well, which are just perfectly fine to draw into, so I'm going to keep this one. I'm hoping that I'm not going to regret it, but we'll see. Our opponent's playing Kethis the Hidden Hand, so Abzan colours for a 3/4. Says legendary spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Evolving Wilds Forest. Hang about. We'll get to you, Kethis, in a moment. Exile 2 legendary cards from your graveyard, and then until the end of your turn, each legendary card in your graveyard gains, you must play this card from your graveyard. So there's a lot of hidden value with Kethis, essentially. The idea is to get it down, and in the late game it's super useful at just refueling the board, which is something we don't want our opponent to do. Finding the Fable Passage there was definitely good. I want to see Risen Reef hit a land as well. We got Frogify. Okay, well, that can actually turn Kethis into a 1/1. Get rid of that cost reduction, which is great. They did get the Interplanar Beacon, which means they can't cast Kethis this turn regardless of what land they play here. Actually, that's not true. This is basically a colourless land as far as Kethis is concerned. Incubation Druid kind of fixes the colours though, so if this was an untapped land, it'd be okay. Alright, Gideon Blackblades coming down. Right, so where do we want to go from here? I mean, I could go Fabled Passage, crack it, and then Voracious Hydra, the Incubation Druid. I'm almost not against doing that. Keeps them potentially quite mana screwed, who knows. We also have an X2 for Finale of Devastation, which could get us a mana dork, so we can play Chulane guaranteed next turn. We could get Leafkin Druid, which triggers Risen Reef. It does allow our opponent to do whatever they want to do, though, which might not be something I want. I'm almost fine with that, though, because I think the card advantage is quite nice here. Let's get a Leafkin Druid. Let's trigger Risen Reef. I was really wanting a land there. We'll keep Gideon in check. I want to save the Frogify as well for Kethis here. Just so that he's useless. We don't have to block Kethis when he's a 1-1, so...
I believe in you.
Indestructible Incubation Druid. Sure. Yeah, we could have Hydra'd the Incubation Druid, but if they draw a land, I don't see why they would really struggle to play on curve, though. And I imagine they can do reasonably well anyway with the mana that they've got available minus the Druid. Who knows? I mean, if they don't do anything good here, then killing the Hydra is definitely looking like a nice play. Yeah, there's Kethis. And they can't really do anything, so we're going to take another 4. It's unfortunate. I imagine we can do something about that later. But yeah, we're totally going to lock down Kethis here. We could do it in a manner where Voracious Hydra is huge massive. I like that. Let's do Hydra X4. Which allows us to block Gideon quite nicely, and then we'll have this fight Kethis, take him off the board, and then we'll hit Gideon. So we're keeping a nice bit of pressure on our opponent, answering their stuff quite nicely. We're not really getting Chulane down, which is something we want to do, because we want to be drawing cards off of everything we're doing here, but at the end of the day, I mean, our board state's not looking bad all the same. It's improving, and our opponent's is stagnating a little bit. But this is probably a Super Friends variant, knowing the interplane of Beacon, so, you know, the way Planeswalkers work is basically that the tables can turn at any minute. They can just suddenly become really, really in the driver's seat. Questing Beast, yep, we don't care about that. We can block the Gideon Blackblades pretty confidently. And now we can Frostlinks the Questing Beast to kill Gideon or something along that line. It's an elemental as well, so it triggers the Risen Reef. Going for the lifelink on Questing Beast. Ah, Assassin's Trophy. That's unfortunate, but honestly, that's not too bad. Because we get to do some dirty trickses to our opponent, like Agent of Treachery or Questing Beast, that kind of thing. Yoink. Has haste. If we hit our opponent's face, deals damage to the Planeswalkers. So we're going to hit our opponent for 4 and Gideon for 1. Almost went wrong then. Questing Beast triggers with its overstated effects, and we kill Gideon. Still haven't played our commander, and that actually bodes well for the actual strength of the deck, I would say. Since Chulane's kind of a build-around card, and we've really not utilized him. You could say that's a downside for the fact that we just had no real avenue to get him down there, and now that we've lost our white source, that's annoying. It becomes a little bit more difficult. But I guess we can just Meteor Golem their lands and say, well, if you're going to be that mean, I'm going to be that mean. Might as well, yeah, get rid of the Incubation Druid. Goodbye. You're gonna hurt my mana, I'll hurt yours. Feyburrow Elder. Okay. And Vivian's Artbow. Our opponent's running out of steam fast. And we get down Chulane. Can we do... let's see. That's 3, 4, 5. We can do that, right? We can do that. So we'll go Beast Whisperer. Because it doesn't really matter on the order. Draw a card either way, but I guess Chulane allows us to put a land into play, but we haven't played a land for this turn, so... Yeah, the ordering really doesn't matter. Now we've got Chulane well and truly in effect. The good part about this is going to be that essentially we get to start bouncing Agent of Treachery and replaying it, stealing all of our opponent's good stuff. We've got a lockdown for their commander. We've got fight spells ready to go on their good cards here, so we don't worry about losing the Agent of Treachery because we've got the Meteor Golem as well. Two really solid targets for Chulane. Alright, they're going to go for the full X9 Vivian's Arcbow. Getting rid of a Bounty Agent, which can be used to get rid of legendary permanents that are creatures. Ooh, they got Prankle. Alright, Prankle's not that bad though. And yeah, good game, they say. Yeah, pretty well locked out. I mean, you don't have to get Chulane down as early as possible. You can definitely use him as a late game bit of advantage, you know, replaying all the cards that you currently have in effect. Or you could use it as a draw 3 and put 3 lands into play if you're lucky enough for that. The killing of our white source was definitely annoying, but I think that's all our opponent really did was lightly irritate us, so good start. Good start. Alrighty then, we're in, and the mana base is looking pretty cool. We have 3 fairy to irritate. It's not going to help us irritate our opponent's commander, which is Kiora Behemoth Beckoner. 2 and Simic colors for a 7 loyalty planeswalker. Whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, you get to draw a card, and then you can pay the -1 to untap target permanent. So it can be a ramp source and a card draw engine. I actually don't mind this hand at all. I think we can use Teferi to bounce some mana dorks to really slow our opponent down, and yeah, the mana base just looks solid as well. Portal can help us reuse all of our creatures as well, so we don't need Chulane in play necessarily. I'm going to take this opportunity to just go ahead and thin the deck. We've already got the double green. We could go for a white source perhaps. I'm going to wait on that decision for now. I'm not sure where I want to go with Evolving Wilds. I'm hoping my opponent's decision would dictate whether I wanted a blue or a white here. I guess it's probably blue. Let's grab a blue source. Alright, well, Temple Garden tapped. And this could be where Kiora comes down. Can use, potentially when they go in for the 2 damage with Paradise Druid, Teferi bounce, but that wasn't meant to be, apparently. Do I just want to bounce Beast Whisperer? It takes up pretty much their entire turn, draws me a card, and then kind of gets that Paradise Druid to just attack me again, which leaves him on 3 to 4 mana, which is fine. I mean, it's a tempo swing that I'm looking to get use out of, I suppose. I don't think the actual Teferi passive or the tick-up is really relevant here, so yeah, I think I'm just going to use this as a delay tactic and just get that Paradise Druid to be forced to attack Teferi here. Well, they got the land, which means they can replay the Beast Whisperer and kill my Teferi, which is not what we really wanted. I was gonna say, there isn't much of a decision to be made here. You gotta kill the Teferi. You can make an argument for waiting until it goes up to 2, but you can't really guarantee that you're going to be able to actually attack through it after that point. Alright, let's get Castle Ardenvale down, and I guess we're just going to put a Beast Whisperer of our own. Yeah, might as well. Next turn we can play Chulane and we draw a card off the Beast Whisperer. Only thing that we won't really want here is like Voracious Hydra or something along that lines to remove our Beast Whisperer would be less than ideal, but that'd be really lucky of our opponent to get something like that. Kiora. What about Wicked Wolf? Tick down on a land, sorry, and then get 4 mana for Wicked Wolf to fight Beast Whisperer. Also an option.
Flows with vigor.
Fight spells are really what I'm imagining is gonna really suck here. Alright, Night Pack Ambusher, so they've got some value when they do nothing. Well, we're gonna get down Chulane. We get to draw a card from the Beast Whisperer. And then if Chulane sticks, we've now got lands in hand, so any future lands are gonna be going into play, and we can really start to make these X spells count. I don't think Chulane's gonna last very long. Yeah, I think he's getting fought right now. I think that's what's happening here. We doing the math, boys. Tap, untap, yeah. This kind of looks like a Voracious Hydra.
I love to make a splash.
Which is this one right here, for those unaware. I wish it would highlight, but for some reason when there's so many cards on your deck tracker, it stops showing you the art, which is not so ideal. It's kind of the point of the thing there, so that I can point out things I'm talking about. You got a Garenbrig activation as well, so there's a lot of mana on the line here. They're running out of time, though. They've got to make a decision quickly. I think they're manual tapping. Stone Coil Serpent. You know what? That is pretty annoying. I'm going to need, I think, literally like Meteor Golem to take care of that. We'll take 4. We do get to draw a lot of cards here, though, and looks like we're going to be making that special land drop as well. So we'll have to see. Let's go with Leafkin Druid first. Let's draw 2 cards, put a land into play. There's Brazen Borrower, which you can use to bounce the Stone Coil Serpent, so that's not too bad. Just put an island into play. Tristani. Should we do Tristani? We probably want to keep 3 mana open is what I'm thinking, which means we've basically done our turn. Yeah, we want to leave... We don't quite have enough blue to Brazen Borrower plus play Brazen Borrower, so it's whether or not we want to leave the activation open to protect Chulane. I really wish I had my God's Willing here. That would have been ideal. Yeah, I guess maybe I'm just going with the why would you do that game. With the Cloudkin Seer. Get to draw 2 more cards again. I should have ordered my triggers the opposite way. It didn't end up mattering in the end, but... yeah, I would have liked to have drawn this card first, and then this one, and then checked for a land. But it didn't work out that way, so... Womp womp. Alright, let's pass the turn. We will discard at this point. Feels like Portal of Sanctuary is not really going to be that useful, but I guess maybe Finale of Devastation's kind of also a little bit useless since we've got the card advantage that we do right now. Night of Autumn can destroy artifacts and enchantments, but this has protection from multicolored, so we can't touch it. I guess I just want to get rid of... Maybe I do want to get rid of Night of Autumn. I really like the cards I have in hand, for sure. Yeah. I'm really discarding a selection of cards, and they're all good. I don't think I could really discard anything that's like, objectively bad here. They all have their uses, like even Portal of Sanctuary is just like repeatable Agent of Treacheries at a cheaper price. It acts as though it were Chulane without actually having to be Chulane. Which is good for when they have removal for him. Which could be right now, for all we know. But yeah, now we've got a Bioessence Hydra and a Stone Coil Serpent to contend with. We have basically allowed our opponent to tap out, though, so this Stone Coil Serpent's going to go back to the hand. We don't really care about countering that card draw ability. So let's bounce Stone Coil Serpent. They draw a card, they are tapped out. They do have another attack of 4 though. But that's not the end of the world. I mean, we've got Agent of Treachery coming down to steal Cure or something like that. It should be really, really good. Could even steal the Bioessence Hydra, honestly. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Alright. We've got a selection of good cards to work with here. None of them are exactly what I want. I do want like a God's Willing, so there are cards I could be drawing that I'd be very interested in finding. Frilled Mystic is a good one, actually. That's repeatable counter magic. It's not repeatable counter magic necessarily right now, but yeah, I think we have to go for the Agent of Treachery and start stealing some stuff. Because they've got some good cards. I mean, we could bounce this and use it to steal a Stonecoil Serpent when they really extend into that. Let's see. I want you to leave blue open, game. Could we do that? Could we do that? Are we allowed to do that? Fine, we'll do it that way. Alright, draw a card with Beast Whisperer, then draw a card with Chulane. And that's why we do it. That right there. Alright, Agent of Treachery. I think we're just gonna... 1, 2, 3, 4... I'm gonna steal Kiora. And we're gonna start untapping some stuff. We'll go with... Leaf Kindred for now. We'll do Tolsimir. We'll draw this card. And again, we're paid off for ordering our triggers in the correct fashion. We make a 3-3, which we can then use to fight the Beast Whisperer, cut off their card advantage. It's not entirely necessary at this point, but it's still pretty good. Alright. And now we got a Tail's End. We don't have the Frilled Mystic open like I would dream of, but I don't know if we're going to need that. Like, if they want to fight for their Kiora back, that's fair enough. I'm not really going to stop them. Because we can just steal it later. I think we've got loads of bounce value here. And they ain't going to stop. Especially since we've got the Portal of Sanctuary as well. They're going to need a Reclamation Sage to truly put an end to it. Yeah, tough decision for our opponent here. So yeah, I'm happy to lose the Tolsimir, for sure. Reason being that we already have a removal source in Agent of Treachery. It's just a better removal source. Like, this does gain us a little bit of life, sure, but just owning what our opponent is beating us with is just much better. They keep hovering my cards like they've got fight spells. Which does concern me. I don't think I need Beast Whisperer anymore. I think I'm just going to take a really... it's 9 damage. It is 9 damage. I don't particularly care about 9 damage. Yeah, sure. Life total is a resource. I'm caring a little bit too much about my 20 life right now, I think. Granted, this is nearly half of it in one go, but I don't really think I should concern myself with that with this hand. Because I will probably own that Bioessence Hydra next turn anyway. Or if they play something bigger than it, I will own that instead. There's a Hydroid Krasis. We're going to Tail's End that life gain and card draw. So it's just a 9/9 for 9. Meteor Golem. That's a good one. Might as well go for it, I suppose. So, Meteor Golem. Draw 2. Yeah, Biomancer's Familiar is amazing. Alright, we're gonna kill Hydroid Crisis. We got Spark Double as well. So Spark Double can become, I guess just Agent of Treachery is fine. We'll steal the Bioessence Hydra. Draw like this. I wish I had just remembered the last time I drew in a particular way. Forest, Plains. Doesn't really matter. Meh. We'll have an Agent of Treachery, which will be this Bioessence Hydra. We will then untap a blue source. And I guess we'll just play Biomancer's Familiar. We got blue, blue, green. Yeah, I didn't quite tap. This should have been a green source, and then we could have held up a Frilled Mystic, but it really didn't matter. We were absolutely ruffle stomping our opponent and taking our time doing it, so yeah, pretty good. Repeatable destruction. Once again, we either steal it or kill it. We've got our opponent's commander. They're not drawing cards off of it. This Night Pack Ambusher was never going to get any value in a million years. If they tap out for this full Stonecoil Serpent, we just bounce our Agent of Treachery and own it. And Biomancer's Familiar cuts the activated ability of Chulane, turning this into a 1-mana activation, which frees up so much mana to do a lot of things. The only way our opponent was winning at that point, I think, is by us decking ourselves with double draw triggers, which is definitely a legitimate thing that could have happened. We will probably have been able to find a way to get around it, like we can use Chulane to bounce the card draw effect out of play and things like that. Owning too many things with Agent of Treachery means that we just draw like 6 cards a turn as well, so that's something that we'd have to monitor. So yeah, really, self-mill was the only thing we had to worry about in that game towards the end. Good stuff. Okay, we're in, and we are missing blue mana for the Risen Reef, but we do have the Paradise Druid, which is obviously going to get cast first. So honestly, I think this hand is perfectly fine. We're up against the mistake that is Reese the Redeemed. Should not be in Standard. There is literally no reason for it to be here. However, it's a 1-mana 1/1 that makes elves and tokens that are copies of all the other tokens you've got. So we're going to keep this hand. I've never lost against Reese the Redeemed, so I'm really not that fussed about it being in Standard necessarily, but there's no reason for it to be here, even so. Yeah, this is just a cash grab, unfortunately. Tithe Taker. That's fine. We got the Gilded Goose. So we could do Gilded Goose and hold open God's Willing, but I really don't see the reason to do that when we've just got Paradise Druid that has protection anyway. God's Willing is for protecting Chulane at the end of the day. So, opponent on 3 mana, going with an Ancestral Blade to make a 1/1 soldier. Isn't until 6 mana that we have to care about Reese. Until then, he's just a 1/1. Alright, we'll take 2. You gain a fair amount of life in this deck, so not too much to worry about there. I think we're just going to go Plains, Risen Reef. Hoping for a land. Yes! Command Tower. Solid stuff. Alright, so that means we have Chulane next turn, which is pretty good for us, because honestly we've got a card draw here already, which is a draw 2, and then we got a 1-mana draw 1 as well, so there's going to be a lot of card draw coming pretty soon. And as it stands, we only have to worry about Reese doing a 6-mana make a 1/1 soldier, so there's just not enough tokens that matter in this format. I don't think that Reese really makes a difference about. If it had like blue in the deck and you could do like quasi-duplicate, I'd care a little bit more about this effect, but as it stands, really does nothing for me. I actually kind of feel like blocking the Tithe Taker. I don't know if Risen Reef is really going to do anything for me, realistically, from this point. He says, as he's no doubt going to draw an Elemental off the top. Here we go. Here comes the Elemental. Alright, lucky us at least. Alright, so let's go with Forest, and we want to go Yeah, that's fine. We'll go Chulane. I want to leave open the God's Willing is my main concern here. I don't ever want this thing getting prison realmed or anything like that, so if we can dodge that, that would be fantastic. And I think we'll run away with the game at that point. Keeper of Fables. Whenever one or more non-human creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So that's Spirit Token. Coming back to bite us, I suppose. Anything else goes right into Chulane's booty and gets gobbled up. Because Chulane's a thick boy. Alright, my turn. We can now officially block the Spirit Token, so pretty good there. We're going to put the island into play first, which means Castle Vantress comes into play untapped. That's Goose God in play. Let's do Marrowleaf Pixie, might as well, I suppose. Let's draw a card again. Put a land into play. And as always, we want to leave open that God's Willing mana. Oh, this is beautiful. Alright. I would like some more action for next turn. Finale of Devastation is, by definition, some hardcore action. So, yeah, I'm really liking where we're at. We don't have Endray's Foreigners in the deck. I just kind of figured we'd end up like naturally drawing it rather than finaleing it. Gain X life and draw X cards where X is number creature control, and then buff the creatures. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. We got some decent blockers, though, so... Yeah, you can hit me for 5. I'm fine with that. Alright. Takes the turn to do a draw one. Sure. So what can we get with Finale of Devastation? Because we can get some good stuff here. We can do... Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We can do an X10. So I could do something like X10, get Agent of Treachery, give everything +10/+10. And go swinging. Oh my goodness, that's a Naketra. We could wait on the Finale of Devastation. I think I might. Alright, let's do that. So, got Eternal Naketra. Whenever we cast a creature, we get a 4/4 Eternal. So, from there, we're going to tap Chulane. Bouncing, I guess just the Gilded Goose because it's a 1-mana 0/2. 2, 3 leaves us with 1. Yeah, I'm just gonna put the Gilded Goose back out there. This'll do just fine. Make a 4/4. I'm just saving the Finale of Devastation because we don't have an ability to give Trample. That's what Endray's Foreigners would typically do. So, you know, gives it haste. So I want to go wide for sure. But that's really about it. Alright. Let's get in for some damage, I guess. Go in with our 2/2, and I think that's really about it. I want to make sure this Spirit Token is blocked for the Keeper of the Fables. Yeah, that'll do for me just fine. And this actually might be where I throw down the God's Willing, just for any old reason. If they get in with, like, Keeper of Fables, then I'll God's Willing my Ketra, give it protection from green, or something silly like that. I don't know. If they just give me a reason. Divine Visitation. Alright, this is where Reese can start making some interesting copies of tokens, but it seems like it's not really going to matter now. So we're going to crack this Evolving Wilds on their end step. Make sure we got the most amount of mana open. Doesn't really matter what colour we pick here. We're pretty much fixed for mana. That's a Thorn Mammoth. Alright, I think I'm just going to go with, yeah, Finale of Devastation, X10. We do tap down 2 creatures for that, but that's fine. Because we're going to go and steal with Agent of Treachery. We're going to get that Keeper of Fables, I think, so we can draw 1,000,000 cards. And then we're going to swing for 1,000,000 damage. Alright, 3-0. This deck's sick. I do love me some Chulane. I've tried making it in Standard, but it's just not quite there. It's a little too slow. But yeah, for Brawl, certainly a competitive deck, and it does some really interesting things. Definitely having an Endray's Foreigners for that X10 there is useful, but I think that the the opportunity for that to happen is not as common as just going for Finale X3, 4, 5, or anything like that. We're not trying to Finale X10, but, you know, it is definitely a thing we can do. We have lots of targets, though, for our X10. Things like Agent of Treachery to just steal and remove our blocker is as good as trampling in some cases. We've even got Thorn Mammoth, which, again, kind of removes our blocker since it fights when it enters. And it will have the pump as well from Finale before it does that, so it basically will be able to kill anything. We've got a lot of big things over there. There's even Tristani we could pick, which puts some creatures out, pumps the rest of our creatures. We have a lot of X10 value. All we don't have, though, is the ability to give trample to our stuff, and I think that's, you know, less than ideal, but the opportunity for that to matter is quite low. Really did enjoy God Eternal Ketra there. Really glad that I could actually cast that. I was trying to do a little bit of commanderless power mitigation. So when we didn't have like Chulane in play, I wanted to make sure that we could actually still do some Chulane related things. So Chulane's all about them cast triggers and them ETBs. So we did have the Portal of Sanctuary, which allows for the ETBs as well. And God Eternal Ketra gives us those cast value kind of things. Shed summons can, you know, work as our card draw. We didn't manage to make good use of these portals, but we were already in a situation where portal wasn't going to be needed, which is not where portal shines necessarily. This is when like Chulane is officially uncastable. We still want to be able to like bounce our creatures and replay them. That's kind of the idea. And yeah, same thing kind of goes for God Eternal Ketra. It's just one of those repeatable make 4/4s and go super wide to make things like Finale of Devastation cool. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. This one's a doozy of the deck. I think it's pretty well situated as far as card balancing is concerned. You can swap out a few pieces, like I mentioned, the End-Raised Forerunners. I don't think you necessarily need it in a deck like this, though. But, you know, I guess if you want to play it just for a +2/+2 trample and vigilance, you can certainly do that. It's not the worst thing in the world, but I don't know. I don't feel like ever playing End-Raised Forerunners when it doesn't get +10/+10 off of a Finale of Devastation. That's just me. I like the flavor of an X10 Finale into Forerunners, and I don't really like Forerunners otherwise, so, you know, I'm a bit weird like that, I guess. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe as well for some more Brawl content in the future. I'm going to try and make another Brawl video for tomorrow as well, so stay tuned for that. But without further ado, I'm going to end off the video here. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.